Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the most unoriginal idea in the whole of YouTube at this time of the year. It is my Premier League predictions. In 40 hours' time, literally, the season will be underway. The treble winners, Manchester City, will be travelling to Turf Moor to face Vincent Kompany's Burnley side, which still seems a bit weird saying that. Is going to be a very interesting season, a season in which I think there will be at least 3 to 4 title contenders, but I'm very set on the 3 that I have going down. So I'm just going to get underway with it. And starting off with I have begun with number 20th, Luton. No, I'm joking, it's Sheffield United. I think Sheffield United are going to have a terrible season. I think it'll be on par with their last campaign, 2020-2021, when they were diabolical. They didn't win until January, and then they went to Old Trafford and won against United, which wasn't, it was pretty rubbish. But these things happen. But I just think that, I don't know, I've not been satisfied with Sheffield United's pre-season. I mean, in the last week they lost Njai to Marseille. And they've also lost a lot of the players who brought them to the Premier League last time, and they've just not really replaced them. I think Austin Trusty, though, sent back from Arsenal, I think he might do a job for them at the back, but I don't know. I think they're going rock bottom, straight back down for them. 19th place, wow, is Luton Town. Yeah, I do not want to put them here at all, but it just feels inevitable that they're going to go down. I really hope they stay up, but with the signings they're making, it looks like they're building like a strong championship side. So if they did go down, they can just come straight back up and build from there. Literally about 3 hours ago, they've just signed Ross Barkley. That's how soon to the season I'm doing this. But yeah, I think that's maybe they're just thinking about this long term. I think they will go down, but they'll come straight back up because they're building a team that will make it in the Premier League. But for now, I don't think they're going to make it this time around. 18th place. So this is well, I thought it was interesting because when I first drafted this back in like 2 to 3 weeks ago, I thought this was going to be like, wow, this is my standout pick, It's Wolverhampton Wanderers, 18th place, but the more I've looked into it, the more everyone else just has the same idea that Wolves are getting relegated. About 24 hours ago, Lopetegui left. He's gone. And they've just replaced him with Gary O'Neill, the former Bournemouth manager, who did a really good job last season. I can't lie, he did a really good job last season with Bournemouth. But Wolves, they had good pre-season results. They beat Porto, they beat Stade Rennais, got a draw against Celtic, they also drew to Luton. But they've lost Ruben Neves, Conor Cody, Nathan Collins, João Moutinho, and they've also lost Raul Jimenez. And who have they replaced them all with? Tom King. And I guess Mateus Cunha, but he was already there. But yeah, their first game of the season, Old Trafford, Monday night. But this can go one of two ways. They're either going to get slaughtered, or they will nick a 1-0 away win, because that's just how football is. But yes, Wolverhampton Wanderers, I think their stay in the Premier League is over, I'm afraid. 17th place, just missing out on the drop zone in my eyes. Bournemouth. I think they'll survive. They'll go for a third year. They were literally everyone's favourites to go down last season, including mine. But yeah, literally against all the odds, they stayed up. When they got rid of Scott Parker after the 9-0 defeat to Liverpool, they just fully flipped a switch. They made some brilliant results. And remember when they beat Liverpool? That was a good result for them. But yeah, Gary O'Neill got the boot. It did confuse me, but I think there were some things inside that were, a little dodgy, but kept away from the public. So let's just keep it at that. But they've made some quite interesting signings. They signed Justin Kluivert Ahmed Junior Traore and Milos Kerkez and Roman Favre, just to name a few. But yeah, with names like that, adding to the team that they created last season, I think they'll stay up. 60th place, Nottingham Forest. I thought they'd stay up last season. They did. At the end of last season, they were really good. They looked like a team because for that first, I don't know, 6-7 months, it looked like they were going down. They were woeful. They were really bad. But they started to gel together at the right time, you know. And obviously that 1-0 win against title winners Arsenal, keeping them up. I do think they'll stay up again, because they just look like more like a team now. And they've also signed Anthony Elanga from United, which he's a really good player, but he needed a team like Nottingham Forest, I think. But yeah, Forest, I think they'll stay up for another season. Number 15, that'll be Everton. Everton, the last 2 seasons, maybe more. Wow, they have been so close to dropping into the Championship. 2 final day survivals in a row. I think they want to start to stray away from that now. But I can see them starting to turn into a bit of a Sean Dyche Burnley side, which is not a bad thing at all. That's a good thing. I don't think they'll be threatened by relegation. They'll have bad patches, but they'll also have good patches. They won't be scared of the relegation zone, but they won't really make much of an effort because it's the start of his era. It is also the final season at Goodison Park ever, so I think they will have that momentum with them to end that ground's legacy on a high. They did finally get Danjuma, someone who they were really gunning for back in January, but ended up going to Tottenham. And, you know, really good experience in Ashley Young. I think that'll be a decent side, get some decent wins against the bigger teams. But yeah, 15th for Everton. Number 14, that will be Crystal Palace. So, bit of a running joke with everyone is that Palace, yeah, 11th place to 14th place. They'll be there somewhere. Actually, I'm going to get a stat up that I saw. Yeah, literally. So since they got promoted to the Premier League in 2013, Crystal Palace have been outside of the 11th to 14th region twice. That was 10th place in 2014-15 and 15th place in 2015-16. Every other season, they have been 11th, 12th, or 14th. They actually haven't been 13th yet, but maybe this season they might, but I think they'll be 14th this season. They've just lost Wilfried Zaha. Big loss to them, but Roy Hodgson is staying for another season. How is that man still alive? I don't know. It'll just be a typical Palace season. Unlucky against the bigger teams, and they'll just lose teams that they definitely shouldn't, but they will always find a way to be there. Because you're either fighting for Europe, fighting for relegation, or your Crystal Palace. So 14 for them. 13th place, that'll be Fulham. Last season I said Fulham would survive, but I thought they would get 17th. I feel like I was someone who thought that they would actually survive because most people thought they would just go down. They exceeded everyone's expectations. They were brilliant in that first half of the season. After that first game against Liverpool, it was just like, oh wow, this is a different Fulham to what we've ever seen. But they are one of the best Championship teams of all time, I suppose. Mitrovic does look to be on his way. I don't know if he has left yet. I haven't actually checked, but I don't think he has. Marco Silva did deny all the Saudi Arabian offers, which is interesting, and Raul Jimenez has joined from Wolves to, I guess, replace Mitrovic. But it will be an interesting season for Fulham, but I think they'll finish 13th. 12th place. That will be newly promoted Burnley. Yes, Vincent Kompany's Burnley side, they ran the Championship absolutely riot last season. Exciting football and just all-round smart recruitment. I have changed Burnley's position about like 4 or 5 times since the start of this draft because they just keep signing players that I'm just like, well, wow, it's just going to strengthen their team. Because today they've signed Sander Berg from Sheffield United, which is really solidifying why I'm putting Sheffield United to 20th. She's like, fair enough, they're just stolen from a rival of theirs. They've signed just so many brilliant players. I think they'll have a really good season this season. And like I said earlier, opening night against the FA Cup holders, the champions of England, the champions of Europe. That will be a great watch. But yeah, I see him staying up this season. 11th place, I've gone for West Ham United. I think I'm wrong with this one. West Ham have just won a European trophy. And, well, they're now back in the Europa League. And it's quite funny, actually, because in the notes here I've put, but they haven't signed anyone. I wrote that about 4 days ago. In the last 24 hours, it looks like Edson Alvarez from Ajax, James Ward-Prowse from Southampton, and Harry Maguire are all signing for West Ham in the next couple of days. As like Scott McTominay will also be joining. Like, that's 4 players in 24 hours that are just going to West Ham. So, you know what? I think 11th place just suits them right. It will be interesting with Declan Rice being gone. And I do think Europa League will hammer them a bit. But I think they'll take mid-table. Because they'll just want to go for another good run in Europe. 10th place, that will be Brentford. Interesting selection, Brentford, because obviously they've lost Ivan Toney until January. He's gone for the first half of the season. But Brentford just always find a way. They're just not fazed by anything. I mean, last season they did push for European football. I don't think they'll be able to this time, because I just think the teams above them have strengthened that much. But they'll be happy with 10th place. But Nathan Collins, what a huge signing for them. He will really strengthen their backline. But yeah, 10th place, I think Brentford will be happy with that. 9th place, I've gone for Brighton and Hove Albion. They were the surprise package of last season. They finished in 6th place in the Europa League spaces. They have lost, however, Alexis McAllister. But to replace him, Mohamed Dahoud from Borussia Dortmund, João Pedro from Watford, and James Milner from Liverpool. Maybe a couple of others, but I'm not too sure. They have gone for a different transfer strategy this season, because obviously they used to sign just youth players, but they're starting to give a bit more experienced players and older players, which is good for them. I don't think they have the depth for the European football games, you know, as like a side hustle for them. But at the same time, Brighton just have an unlimited vault of unnurtured talent to their disposal. So I think 9th is fair. And hopefully they go on a good European run, because I would love to just see Brighton winning the Europa League. That'd be so amazing. 8th place. This is a tricky one. But I have gone for Tottenham. They are an interesting side this season. Kulusevski's finally and permanently. I thought he was 2 years ago. Manos Solomon and James Maddison as well. Really good signings. Ange Postecoglou, though, I think he's going to be a great signing for Tottenham. It is a huge job compared to his other ones, but I was watching a documentary on him. I don't know who it was by, the HITC7s or Tifo Football, but what he did to the clubs he managed in Australia and Japan and just turn them into such dominant sides. Obviously, I don't think he'll make Tottenham dominant, but I think he'll make Tottenham just a really strong side, you know. And obviously, we all saw what he did at Celtic. Celtic were a really good team. I mean, even in the Champions League last season, Celtic were pretty decent. I think he can do it at Tottenham, but I think this season will be a write-off. Harry Kane, will he go? Maybe. I think he will. But if he left, their front three will just be Son, Richarlison and Kulusevski. That's pretty good, if you ask me. But yes, 8th place at Tottenham. 7th place. Seemingly the team I love to put in 7th place. Aston Villa. Unai Emery, man. He is cooking up an evil dynasty at Villa Park. Yuri Tielemans, Pau Torres and Moussa Diaby. They always do this, literally. They are so good at transfers. Like, no one picks up anything about Aston Villa's transfers, and then just all of a sudden it'll be like, welcome to Villa Park, Yuri Tielemans, and it's just like, what? How have they got them? I mean, there is still time in this transfer window for them to get even more, but they are becoming a seriously dangerous side. They do have Conference League football this season. I thought that could have maybe weighed them down a bit, but I don't know. I think they could win it, honestly. I think they will win the Conference League. I think that'd be pretty cool. Who knows? But yeah, Aston Villa, 7th place. Moving on to 6th place, the first Europa League spot. For Chelsea. Yes, people don't really know where to put Chelsea. I'm one of them. It's literally always just up and down. Either going to be really low down or really high up. But they were a massive shock last season. They probably were the shock of last season, despite the fact Brighton finished 6th. Who saw them finishing 12th? You mean at the start of the season with Thomas Tuchel, you thought, yeah, Chelsea, they'll get like 4th or 5th. 12th, no. In the bottom half of the table, did not see that. But it's like the moment Tuchel got sacked, you just knew it was going to fall apart. And, well, it inevitably did. But Pochettino's in charge. He's a great manager. No matter what anyone says, I think he's a fantastic manager. But this Chelsea team are just not very good. It's not a good squad of players. They've made interesting signings. I like the look of that Nicholas Jackson from Villarreal. But I don't know. They've offloaded so many of their first team. So many. Well, basically all of their first team is gone. I think you will drag them into 6th. They have a massive task ahead, but yeah, I think 6th is an achievement for them this season. 5th place, I've gone for Newcastle United. I did not expect Sandro Tonali to actually go to Newcastle United, but hey ho, he has. Eddie Howe, just wow. Howe wows me. I want him to be England manager someday. I think the Champions League, it will hamper their squad this season. But they have the quality. They are going to get European football again. Maybe they could win the Champions League, who knows? But 5th place, I think it's fair for them this season. Because in 4th place, replacing them this season, I have gone for Liverpool. Because they had a really weird season last season. They are in the Europa League, not ideal for them at all. But their midfield has been fully replaced. They now have Dominic Szoboszlai. I hope that's the correct pronunciation. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And Alexis McAllister, like I mentioned before. Massive plus for them. At the end of last season, they were in really good form. They were fantastic towards the end of the last season, but those last 2 games just threw away for them. They are in a bit of a transitional period. It was mainly when that midfield trio of Fabinho, Henderson and Wijnaldum got broke up. It was just kind of like, ugh. But it was just weird considering how in 2022, they were up for the quadruple and they won the FA Cup and League Cup, but then just a year later, they were dreadful. I mean, obviously they have those kind of wins against United and Bournemouth. But yeah, I do think that they'll go back into the Champions League. But in 4th place, it'll be close between them and Newcastle, I think. 3rd place, I've gone for Arsenal. See, there's some bias here. They were a massive surprise last season. They ended up in 2nd place. They led the league for 93% of the season, which I believe is the most ever. But everyone knew that City were going to win it. They just knew. Declan Rice is a fantastic signing. The price tag is, it's heavily inflated, but that is just modern day football for you. UCL football will take their toll on them. It will take their mind off the Premier League quite a bit, I think. I think 4th is fair, but at the same time, Arsenal could genuinely win the title. Because I think when I wrote this, Declan Rice was the only signing they made, and now they have Yuri and Timber, and oh my god, who else did they just sign? It's gone out of my head, but Kai Havertz, that's who they've signed. Havertz is a weird one. I don't really know why they got him. He'll just be like how he was for Chelsea, I think. But Timber and Rice, they'll definitely show their quality. So that means in second place, it's one of the Manchester sides. It's United. Oh yeah, spoiler alert, City are going to win the league. But yes, Ten Hag is just growing this United side more and more. De Gea's finally gone after 10 plus years at the club. A legend in my eyes, but that's the past now. Andre Onana, whom Ten Hag has worked with in his past days at Ajax, he's in. Very, very good with Inter. Yeah, I mean, pre-season, people will point these things out. Like you got chipped against that friendly against Lens, and you got chipped against Real Madrid as well. But apart from that, there are massive improvements already. Mason Mount, very interesting sign. I don't know how I feel about it, but I need to just see him properly in that midfield with Fernandes and Casemiro. Then I will properly understand. Hopefully we see that on Monday night against Wolves, but definitely an interesting one. But yeah, I mean, obviously at the same time, Mount does have that experience in both the Premier League, and obviously he's a Champions League winner. People might forget he assisted that goal in the final. And Rasmus Højlund, he signed the other day. I'm really excited to see him. People are already making Haaland comparisons. I understand why, but we should not be comparing him with Haaland yet. Amrabat could be joining. That could be a possibility. Another one which has popped up in the last couple of days is Jean-Claire Todibo from Nice. He would be a good one as well, but it definitely would not surprise me if United did mount a title charge of some form this season. But we'll have to wait and see. And obviously, yes, first place, that'll be Manchester City. Surprise, a bloody prize. Yeah, probably the easiest prediction out of all of them, really. Which just says so much about this City side. Obviously, I hope I'm horrendously wrong on this. I hope they finish like 10th. They're never going to finish 10th. Probably for the next 30 years. But it just feels inevitable, They're literally the treble winners. They're strengthening their side. They've just signed Josko Gvardiol, who's probably the most in-demand centre-back in the whole world. And they've just got him. So yeah, here's to another 5 years of City dominance. Booyaka Shah. Oh, the video's not done yet. There yet. I'm going to predict the fixtures for Matchday 1, because I thought it'd just be a bit fun. Interesting to see how many I get, the outcome right, but see if I get any, spot on. So obviously, Friday Night Football, Burnley against Manchester City. I think it'll be Burnley 1, City 3. Yes. I do think Burnley will take the lead, but it's just City, They have just lost the Community Shield to Arsenal the other day. So they are out for definite blood. So I think the champions will take this one. Arsenal, I think they'll beat Forest by 2-0. Yeah, they'll just keep on from where they left off last season, Forest, I think they'll be defensively more sound this time around, because obviously this kind of game last season they would have lost 5-6-0. But I see Forest giving it a bit of a go, but I think Arsenal will comfortably win by 2-0. Sheffield United and Crystal Palace. That's the next one. I know that I said Sheffield United will go down, but it's that newly promoted Bounce at home on the first day. I think it'll be 1-1. Yeah, it's as simple as that, really. Palace are Palace. They struggle in these games. And Sheffield United, they'll give it a real go. They might even win. They probably will. Maybe 1-0. But I think it'll be 1-1. Bournemouth against West Ham. I think West Ham will take this 1-0. Probably Lucas Paqueta. I think he's going to have a real good season this season. He was showing glimpses of his true potential at the end of last season, so I think he'll score the goal that wins West Ham this game on the opening day. Brighton and Luton. Yes, Luton's first ever Premier League game. I think Brighton will take it by 3-0. Brighton, they are just hungry. You know, they're a side that is just growing and growing and growing. And yeah, I see them winning this comfortably. Maybe Evan Ferguson gets a couple. And maybe João Pedro. I think he might get a couple as well. And then we have Everton and Fulham. I think Fulham will actually win this one. I know that I said that Everton are going to be a different side this season. But I do think Fulham will win this one. It's the kind of game that Fulham would win. It's definitely the kind of game that Everton would lose. And, you know, it will create this friction between the fans. But then Everton, they will bounce back. Okay, this is maybe the most controversial result. A game that I don't see why this isn't live, because this is a massive game. Newcastle and Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa are going to win this one by 1-0. Like, they've had a brilliant pre-season, and I just see this kind of scenario playing in my head where Ollie Watkins, he just gets the ball, he makes a run, slots it bottom corner, you know, the kind of goal that he scores, getting them those 3 points at St James's Park. And I just see them managing to keep Newcastle out. But I could be wrong. I do remember last year, I think Newcastle beat them 4-0 at home. But in the reverse fixture, Aston Villa beat them 3-0 at home. So it will definitely be a fascinating game. The first of the Sunday games is Brentford and Tottenham. I'm seeing this as a 2-2 draw. Tottenham, yeah, their first league game with the Postecoglou. I think it'll be like 1-0 Tottenham, 1-1, 2-1 Tottenham, then 2-2. It's just that kind of game. It's just how I see it going. Yeah, I think Brentford, they'll just fight back. And they won't let Tottenham get away with the 3 points. So I think a point each is fair. Now, it's probably the biggest game of the weekend. Chelsea and Liverpool. I think Liverpool are winning this 2-0. Like I said before, Liverpool, they had such a great run at the end of last season. I think this could be a Gakpo goal with Salah getting in there as well. Yeah, I just think Pochettino is just kind of one of these games where a new manager comes in and their first game, it's just this big team. And everyone's like, oh yeah, you know, they're going to do him over, but they won't. I'm sorry, but they won't. And in the Monday Night Football, it's Man United against Wolves. Yes, there is a little bit of bias on my behalf here, but I only see this being 2-1. And I know, like I said before, that it will either be like 6-0 or 1-0 to Wolves. But I see United actually getting that crucial first win at Old Trafford this time around compared to last season where, well, we don't talk about that. I think United will take a 2-0 lead. I think Rashford will get a brace. Then Wolves will just, they'll pop up with some like 90th minute header, creating a little bit of tension, but United will hold on. So yeah, 2-1 to United. Which will round out the first games, and they are my predictions for the Premier League season and Matchday 1. It's going to be exciting. I am really looking forward to the seasons. I didn't feel that same excitement last season, but this season it feels different. So I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be a great season, and hopefully, and I come back to this in about 9 months' time, I will be 20 out of 20, but it'll probably be like 1 out of 20. But yes, if you did enjoy, I make other content across other channels. I also have a Twitch channel. But thank you very much, and I will see you all in the next one. See you later, fellas.